Hey guys, so today I'm going to be doing a BAM review on Divergent by Veronica Roth. Alright, first off, let me say I absolutely love this movie. This is going to be a rave review, so if you didn't like it, I'm telling you up front, there's going to be a whole lot of positive feedback because I thought the movie was absolutely amazing. First off, I wanted to say that the writers of the screenplay were Vanessa Taylor, Evan Daughtry, and Veronica Roth, the author of the book, and it was directed by Neil Berger. Alright, so let's get into... Alright, first off, I want to say, spoiler alert, I am going to be talking about things that you may not want to know ahead of time if you haven't read the book or watched the movie, so if you are particular about either one of those things, then cut out now, go watch it, come back later. One of the first things that I noticed right away was how the color and the contrast and the cinematography was done. I feel like it really showed the destruction of Chicago and the atmosphere that they were in, and this also led into whenever they separated the different faction areas. I felt like it was really clear which faction was which. It was really clear who had what, who focused on which attribute and things like that, and I really liked the color contrast of the different clothing. I know that it is pretty detailed in the book about which colors go with which factions. I think that they took that and found a way to make it where it wasn't just one color of blue or one color of yellow, that they showed some range in there while still staying true to what the book says. I definitely favor Dauntless as far as the factions go. I think that they really did a good job of showing that family dynamic that the Dauntless have as a whole. I know that there's a lot of trouble going on in the Dauntless leadership and where they feel like they need what they need to do to stay alive or stay in power or whatever that is, but the Dauntless group as a whole, I think that the movie shows that they are a family. Like whenever they raise up the initiates up over their shoulders, whenever they first come into Dauntless, and then the zip line experience, I think that both of those really show that Dauntless isn't the bad guy. They just happen to be targeted as the easiest to manipulate because they're the most free-spirited and kind of just brave and do whatever needs to be done, that they were really the obvious choice when it came to the soldier aspect of what Janine was trying to do. So I think that it's really good in the movie that you see that they're not all bad, that obviously this is something that is happening that's not Dauntless approved. As far as characters go, I was absolutely blown away by Shaylin and Theo. I was a little hesitant at first whenever I saw Theo. He just wasn't what I pictured, and I know that some people said he was too old, but that wasn't really it to me. I think that he definitely had that maturity as a character because of his childhood, and he obviously is older than Tris, and so that didn't really bother me. It just wasn't what I pictured at first, but when you actually see him in action as Four, I was blown away. It was absolutely amazing. Four is pretty much becoming my favorite male protagonist against Harry Potter, and I just absolutely love how Theo takes that, and he shows that tough side, but also he still has that care and consideration. He's not a complete douche like Eric is, and I think that they really show that without... It just seems like part of his personality. I think that the times when he seems a little interested in Tris are really subtle, and you can tell by the camera pausing like what's happening pretty easily, but I think from his perspective it's not overt, and so I really liked his performance. I really liked Tris. I think that Shaylin did an amazing job kind of finding that balance of, I don't want to be this brazen person at first, but I feel these emotions, and her decision to be Dauntless. I think that all of those things were done really well, and I think that her bravery shines through really well in the way that Shaylin performed it, so I absolutely loved both of them. On the other hand, there were a couple of characters that I wasn't super impressed with. One of them was Caleb. I think that he didn't really get a chance to be seen in the movie, and maybe I would have liked him better if there had been more interaction there, but I just feel like his character was a little flat in the film, and Caleb, he wasn't who I pictured in general anyways, and so I just didn't really have a chance to connect and make a good judgment on that character, but I hope that as the movies go on that will change. And then we have Peter. Miles Teller is amazing. I absolutely love him in the new Footloose, but to see him as a bad guy, I didn't like it at all. I think that he has the potential to be that character. I saw a little bit of that, and it wasn't so much that I didn't like him or that he didn't do it well. I just think that they didn't write in enough of the evil that is Peter for me to really connect with him as, yes, being a bad guy, because one, I really like him, and so seeing him in a negative role was really hard. I kind of shied away from it, and then on top of that, you don't get to see a lot of the true evil in Peter. I think that the scene where they're obviously trying to shove Tris off of the cliff is really indicative of his character, but I think like missing out on him stabbing, who did he stab? Edward? He stabbed Edward, I think, in the eye. I think that there's some cruelty there that you don't really see. A lot of his lines come across as just like this taunting, chauvinistic pig kind of thing. I think that there's even more evil in Peter in the book that doesn't quite transfer into the movie. I did, however, really like Eric. I think that he was just the right amount of evil and prideful that it is in the book. I think that he's obviously very jealous of Four, and he thinks that he's got all of this power, and he's trying to show that by being violent and aggressive and just being over the top brave. And so I think that he did a really good job of taking the evil that is Eric and bringing that onto the screen. I also really enjoyed the serum test. I felt like they had this good balance of crisp clarity and also still being kind of dreamlike. I know that they go into really long detail in the book, and that's really hard to do on film, but I think that they did a really good job of kind of marrying those two, finding a good balance there, because you do see Tris handle the situation and you do get to see some of her fears, but it's not as long as it is in the book, which is kind of, it actually ended up working out in the movie as far as that was concerned. I did kind of feel like that scene right after that with her and Four was a little different from the book. Now, I read the book, I don't know, like a year ago, because I try not to reread the book right before the movie, because then I will do nothing but nitpick every little thing that they don't do, which they can't do everything, and so it's better for me to just kind of take a step back and try to look at the film just based on my overall remembrance of Divergent or the book itself, whichever book it is, instead of really nitpicking. But I do remember that being a little different, and I don't like that they changed the Parents' Day to being where Tris's mom is like sneaking around trying to find her. I know that makes sense, and it worked, and it's probably not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things, but I don't like when they change things. Cut something out, that's fine. Tweak it a little, I'm okay, but when it's something obvious that I notice that changes or that you add that's not there at all, then I have a problem. And so with that, I didn't like that they changed it, but I understood why. Alright guys, that's my BAM review for Divergent. If you liked it, please click the thumbs up button and leave comments below on what you thought, and I'll catch y'all next time.